Hello everyone, welcome to Stampin' Up with Jamie. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, either live or on replay. I'm just gonna make sure I'm in the right place and get comments up so I can follow along. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I'm pretty excited about tonight's cards, plural. I did something like this a couple of weeks ago where I kind of show one design but a couple different varieties of it, and I think everyone liked it. I liked it, so we're gonna do it again. Okay, so here's my 3 cards, and I'm kind of showing like what a beginner stamper might create or be interested in, and then maybe what like intermediate, and then an avid stamper. So I don't know about you, but when I first started stamping, scrapbooking, card making, that sort of thing, I was very, very overwhelmed and I didn't quite know where to begin. I literally had nothing. I was starting from zero. I had no cardstock, no inks, nothing. That since has all been remedied. But at the time I had nothing. And so I didn't really know where to begin. And I knew I wanted it all, but I didn't quite have the tools to be able to do everything I wanted. So this is kind of with that person in mind, someone that's just starting off, but still wants to, you know, get in the paper crafting hobby. Someone that might have a few supplies, but maybe not necessarily everything. And then someone that wants like all the bells and whistles, knows a couple of techniques, and just wants to go for it. So we're going to start with my beginner stamper. So this is someone, when I created this card, someone that either is new to stamping and maybe doesn't have all the bells and whistles yet, or maybe has all the bells and whistles and just doesn't have the time. They definitely want to get some sort of stamping and crafting in for themselves, but maybe time isn't their friend. And so this is with that person in mind. And it's very, very simple. It's what Stampin' Up would call simple stamping. You may have seen that hashtag around before, and that is definitely what this is. Thanks, Christy. No holding back when it comes to paper crafting. You're funny, Heather. So let's just dive in tonight. All my card bases, I should say, are the same measurement. So I'm only going to give it once, but all 3 of the cards have the same base measurement. Hi, Denise. Hey, Beth. Oh, thanks so much. This here measures 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. Okay, and my card base that I'm using is thick Whisper White cardstock, and I've talked to you about it before, that when you're using Whisper White as a card base, I highly, 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 can't stress enough, recommend the thick Whisper White cardstock. It's thicker than our regular Whisper White cardstock, and it just has an extra oomph so that when you prop it up, it will stand up and it will hold its form. And it's just a thicker cardstock. And so when you're using it, I mean, you could use it for everything if you wanted, but specifically when using white as a card base, I highly, highly recommend the thick Whisper White cardstock. I buy it, it lasts me forever because I only use it when I use white as a card base, and it's just nice to have on hand because I want my customers and my friends and my family to have the best of the best. So when they get a card of mine and they prop it up, I want it to look nice. I don't want it to kind of like implode. So that's that. Next, all of my smaller Whisper White cutouts are all going to be the same size as well. So I'm only going to give it to you once. Keep in mind that this is the same. Where are my other cards? It's the same as this Whisper White, and it's the same as this Whisper White. Okay, they all measure the same. And the Whisper White measures, since I built up this anticipation, 3.25 by 4.5. Let me just double check. Yeah, 3.25 by 4.5. And all the cards that we're using tonight, let me show you. We're using the Peace and Joy bundle. I love it so much. It has the big words, bright, peace, and joy, and then some smaller sentiments that you can pair, kind of mix and match phrases depending on what you wanted to say. It also has a berry and some holly leaves, some like little, I don't know, whatever those are called, little spurts. and some leaves. Now, there are dies that go along with it, but none of the dies match these images. So if you want these cut out, you're going to have to fussy cut them. I will say though, however, these are very friendly, first time, don't really like fussy cutting. They're very friendly to cut because it's basically like an oval with maybe some like indentations here and there, but it really is pretty simple. It's not anything too complicated to fussy cut out. You can do this. I know you can. Even if you don't like fussy cutting, you can handle this. I have full confidence. The matching dies are the joy dies, and they're like this. Now each word, so joy, bright, and peace, have 3 dies that go with it. We have one die that cuts out a very thin strip of the words, such as this basic black, right? It's super thin. We have the next one that if you stamp a sentiment, it'll cut out the stamped image. And then if we have a third one that kind of cuts out a matte for the stamped image. Oh, you guys could do it. I have full confidence in you. You could. So again, there are dies that match, but the dies are really meant to coordinate with the 3 words and not those images. And gosh, you could mix and match like the different combinations here in so many different ways. And I kind of gave you a glimpse of that today when we're stamping, depending on what you wanted to do. So my colors are real red, shaded spruce, and then a black. And we're going to be using peace as our big word. Remember, there's peace, joy, and bright, but I'm using peace. And in our first card here, I'm just stamping the word peace in the Memento black. I had someone asking me earlier about the difference. Hi, Jean Ann. Thanks for joining me tonight. The difference between we have two black inks, the Memento and the StazOn. StazOn is what you're going to want to use when you are watercoloring, okay? And Memento, basically for everything else. Memento is what you would use when using our Stampin' blends. If you just want a regular nice black, StazOn is the permanent black that if you're watercoloring, it won't smear on you. Okay, so there's our piece. Actually, while I have that out, I should just go ahead and do the on earth as well. Peace on earth. It's kind of a nice Christmas sentiment. Beautiful. Set those aside. We're going to need those later, but for now we're good. And then all I did is I took the holly and then the berries and kind of stamped around it. Again, shaded spruce is my green. Real red is my red. And if I can get them, here we go. Hold on, I'm just going to clean this a second. I have a little something on there. I don't know what that is. Okay, so let's not accidentally stamp my holly in that. The leaves I kind of did sort of like encasing the piece. So one that way. And then one, I don't know, like there. I don't know. I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. Keep in mind when you stamp our inks, they're going to stamp darker. And then as the ink dries, it will fade a little bit because that's pretty intense, but it will lighten up. Then the berries, real red, just right next to the holly. Oops. Let's make sure I have ink on that before I go stamping and ruining my cardstock here. We're going to do this one this way. Okay, that's all that for our beginner card. So basically, if you're running short on time and you need to like mass produce cards, this is the card for you because it was 4 different stamps, 3 ink colors, and 1 cardstock color. Now, to make it a little bit extra special or make it, you know, have it like something special about it, I did use dimensionals to prop this up. It just, without having to stamp or without any effort whatsoever, it just adds a nice little to the card. Okay, so, oops. They do have some like, they want to stick to you, that's for sure. They don't want to peel nicely. Okay. And down we go. Okay. Card number 1, done. Yeah, I agree, Lindsay. For placement and trying to get things exactly where you want it, the photopolymer is amazing. Okay, so beginner's card, here we go. Right, 4 stamps, 3 ink colors, and 1 cardstock color. That's all you need. You don't need a die cutting machine. You don't need punches. You can whip a whole bunch of these out, mass produce them, and it wouldn't take too much of an effort. But let's say you want to put a little bit of effort in, right? You have a little time. You've been stamping for a while. You have some extra materials. You've bought our new Stampin die and emboss machine, which, by the way, I have a special running on that right now. I'm going to talk about it in a second. You found a dimensional on the backing at your office. That's hysterical. They do seem to kind of have a life of their own, that's for sure. Okay, so for this one, same exact measurements. Okay, so the 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. This time I'm bringing in my favorite designer series paper. I've been talking a bunch on my blog about it. It's the 'Tis the Season. You will notice that I'm using different patterns because I've used it so much. I didn't have, what did I have? 4 of the same pattern to do samples and then use tonight live. So I'm using different patterns. You'll have to let me know what pattern you like most. This one has some poinsettias on the back. 'Tis the Season Designer Series, the paper. I love it. It's just traditional colors, you know, traditional images. It's my kind of Christmas card, quite honestly. Did I just run out? Nope, not yet. I think for weeks now I've been talking about how I'm about to run out, and I've yet to run out. Tonight might be the night. So my cards, my designer, oh, it's a little long. My designer series paper here is the same size. So 4 1/4 by 5.5. I don't know why my cardstock was a little bit longer, so I just trimmed it a little bit. So 4 1/4, 5.5, 'Tis the Season Designer Series paper. Like that. Okay. Next, let's see here. What do I, oh, I didn't get, hold on. I forgot to get, I need white paper to stamp. Let's set this aside for a second. Now we're going to stamp the same piece in the same Memento Black. Hey, Christina. Who else did I miss? Christina, Patricia. Hi, Roz. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. So happy to have you here. We're working on a trio of cards for beginners to avids. Okay, so inked up my piece just like I did previous on a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Stamp it down. Beautiful. And then, like I said, we have lots of dies here. The smaller of these round ones, okay, is going to be what cuts out the words. It's a tight cut. The other one is a wider, more matte cut. This one's a tight cut. So off camera here, I'm just going to do this quickly, but hopefully not too quickly that I mess it up. You never know when you're live, right? Okay, so run that through our die machine, cut it out. Oops. And we are left with this. So it cuts it out really nice. You like the green side best? You know, Jean Ann, it's interesting. I normally use more red than green for Christmas. But I really like the shaded spruce. It's not like an in-your-face green. It's like a more evergreen color. So I really like this green. I normally do more red Christmas. So then I took a piece of real red cardstock, and this time I used the outer die and cut that out. And they label over each other perfectly. It's like they were meant for each other. Well, they kind of were, but I just think that's so fun. If you do not like fussy cutting and you like a little bubble around your words, you need this. It's not even questionable. Like, you have to put it on your wish list. Okay, so let's just take some liquid glue. Would you believe it? I never do this, but I actually tested my glue ahead of time to make sure it was working. I'm always live and scrambling to find my liquid glue that is actually working. I anticipated it tonight. Okay, so we're going to just adhere one over the other. Like that. Oops. And then, what did I do with everything? You should see my workstation right now. There is literally stuff everywhere. Okay. I was pretty organized. I had them like in piles of the 3 cards, but now there's just stuff everywhere. So I'm going to, again, that same Whisper White 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. I'm gonna kind of envision where this is gonna go, and then I'm gonna stamp around it. So our same stamps. I need my holly. Oops. I need my berries. And first we're gonna do the shaded spruce. Oh, thanks, Patricia. Oh, yeah, I agree, Jean Ann. It is rich. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of leave that there because that's where it's headed. That's where it's eventually gonna go adhered. One holly that way. I'm actually gonna move it because it's easier. And let's see here. I don't want to accidentally nick my cardstock. One holly there. We're done with the green for now. We'll need it again for the next card. Oh, what did I do with the berries? What did I do with them? Uh-oh. Oh, gosh, they're right there. Goodness me. It's been a long day. Okay, then we're going to stamp our berries in real red. 1 berry, 2 berry, like that. Oh, well, should I do that first? I got to do the on earth. I guess we'll do that before I adhere it. We got to do the on earth. Now here's my tip. If I got this far and I adhered everything down, and it could happen. This actually could happen, so we'll see. And I go to stamp the on earth, and I stamp it like completely wrong. Just do it on a separate piece of Whisper White and cover it up. Cut it out and cover it. No big deal. We'll see. I may end up doing that if I do this completely crooked or something. You never know. Beautiful. Oh, is it a little crooked? It's a little off. But we're gonna call it working. And then on my piece here, we're gonna adhere these down with Stampin' Dimensionals, like so. Like this. Has everybody started Christmas cards yet? I'm loving that the mini catalog came out early this year because normally it's like a race to get Christmas cards done, and sometimes I'm like scratching people off the list because I don't have enough cards, and this is just, I feel like a lot less stress-free Christmas card making. This time, unlike the first one, I'm going to mat this on a panel of real red cardstock. So it measures just 1/8 bigger. That I always, gosh, 99.9% of the time mat 1/8 bigger. So this is 3 by 3/8 by 4. Wait, 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. So just 1/8 bigger. Hopefully I did that right. So matting that. Okay, and then that's going to go on our card like that. Like, center it. Ta-da. Okay, card is done. A little extra steps compared to our first one. You need a die cutting machine. I would highly recommend our new one. It's amazing. I love it. It's the best. And still same number of stamps. You have a little die cutting here, and this time we're adding some designer series paper to the background. You need to start Halloween now. Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas, right? First things first. So that's our intermediate card. Maybe you've been stamping for a little while, you're feeling a little bit more confident, maybe you have a few more materials on hand, so this might be the card for you. Let's say, though, that you've been stamping forever, you feel super confident in your abilities, and you just want a couple extra bells and whistles to your card. So this might be the card for you. This is for like more of an avid crafter, an avid stamper. Again, same kind of, no, it is like the same layout, just a couple of extra like bells and whistles, I guess. That's how we would say that. So let me get everything out. Oh my goodness, my poor craft table. Again, shaded spruce we're starting with 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Oh, I bet this is going to be a little wide too. Let me see. No, actually that's perfect. And then this time I used my favorite pattern from the 'Tis the Season designer series paper, the plaid one. I love Christmas in plaid. I just love it. And even more so in traditional colors. So love, love, love. So fun. And that's the other side if you're wondering what that looks like. Going to adhere this right over my card front. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's covering the entirety of my card front. As so. Okay, you're going to take your panel of Whisper White. It's the same measurements as the other 2 cards that I did. So it's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And this time I did a little embossing, dry embossing, and I used the Wrapped in Texture embossing folders. It's two embossing folders. One looks like that. This is the one that I used. Okay, and let me just tell you, if you love embossing folders as much as I do, right now I am running a promotion. If you buy the new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine in the month of September, so I know everybody's budget is different. I didn't want to limit it to just a week. I really wanted to give people time to work it into their budget. So if you buy the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine in the month of September, I'm throwing in a free embossing folder of your choice. And I highly recommend this one because you get 2. You pick out the embossing folder that you'd like, place your order, and then email me which one you'd like, and I'll order it up for you for free. And that's in addition to the free $9 item. So you'd be getting a free $9 item from me. You'd be getting a free embossing folder of your choice. You pick which one you want. And then you'd also get 4 checks on my Star Rewards program. So, and hello, you'd be getting the new machine is amazing. I love it. I'm like sold, hook, line, and sinker. So if you want this embossing folder, I love it. It's a duo. You get 2. It may be one that you want to consider getting for free when you buy the new machine. This offer is only available when you shop through my store. So just keep in mind, it's not a Stampin' Up offer. It's a Stampin' Up with Jamie offer. So I love it. Now, what's great about this embossing folder is either side. Honestly, I wasn't sure which one I wanted to use because the negative and the positive side are equally beautiful. This has a little bit more texture to it, right? You can see it and feel it. And this one is just a little bit more subtle, I think. So I went with this side out, but honestly, I think either or are just really fun and beautiful. I love like subtle embossing folders, if you didn't know, because I use them all the time. I kind of have my favorites and I use them. So make sure you figure out which embossing folder you'd like. Order up the machine. It's great. You're going to want that as well. So you're going to notice that when I use my embossing folder, I use the Stampin' Seal Plus. Anytime that I'm using something that needs a little bit more oomph, especially with embossing folders or something that has texture to it, I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal Plus. It just really, really holds. I mean, your stuff isn't going to go anywhere. Okay, so again, I'm doing the same exact layering on a panel of Real Red, and then going to adhere that over my card front. Oh, I just realized I forgot to cut something out. It is inevitable that come live, I always forget some sort of component. It's inevitable. It always happens. So I use that same die, the bigger piece, and I cut out a Real Red. I use the super, super thin one to cut out a basic black piece. And then the one I forgot was I need a Whisper White one. I need that one that goes behind the piece. So hold on, just let me run this through quickly. It's the same one that we used before to cut out the stamped piece. We really want piece. We want 3 different pieces. So here's a better look at the 3 different dies that come. You have like a bigger bubble, a smaller bubble. This would cut out the stamped image. And then you have a very thin one as well. And I'm just gonna like literally adhere one over the other, layer them up. You notice that they kind of have a little bit of a curve. So just be mindful of that. You know, you don't want to straighten it out thinking, oh, it's not straight. I think, it's supposed to be a little curved. And if you straighten it out, then they're not going to adhere over one another as well anymore. So, okay. I started at one end and I'm just kind of bringing this one over slowly to make sure it fits. You know, I'm not placing it all down at once because it is it can move. It has movement to it. So I want to make sure it's hitting where it's supposed to hit. Once that's done, we're gonna layer this onto the other one. I just love the layers. Love, love, love. I think it's so fun. And my one of my daughter's middle name is Joy, and so I can't wait to use the Joy die for like a scrap page for her, maybe her birthday or something. I think that would be really fun. I'm excited for that. Okay, so that's that. Let me see this. We also have to stamp the, where is it? On Earth. And this I just fussy cut out super quick. I know as soon as I said fussy cut super quick, all of you just went, you're right. But this is like straight lines. Come on, anybody can do this. Well, hopefully. I have to hold it with my left hand and stamp so I can see where I'm going. That's why I cut it out like that. 1, 2, 3. You could also use your trimmer if you were afraid that maybe you couldn't cut it super straight. I've done that before. But for the sake of just being quick, we're going to do it that way. Okay, then we have to do our holly and our leaves. Again, 2 holly, 2 leaves, and then we're going to fussy cut it out. I'm going to do a little card magic, so I'm not going to fussy cut it out like here for you. There she goes, fussy cutting again. Well, I just can't help it. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so holly and holly. That's the last of that. We're done with that. You can't do fussy cutting. That you could do. You could totally do the on Earth. I know you could. You gotta scan and cut. That's also another solution for sure. Berries. Oh, I messed that one up. Good thing I did this ahead of time and I already cut them. That's a little smudgy there. And then I fussy cut. Now, if you didn't want to fussy cut out the berries, this is what you would do. You would stamp the images before you embossed. You don't have to fussy cut them out. I could have just stamped them on here. Now, they would have that impression, that detail on it, but it wouldn't matter. So when I fussy cut, I make my image smaller. So if I'm fussy cutting on a huge piece of paper, first of all, I make the paper smaller because I can like maneuver it better. And then I go real slow and I leave a bubble around my image because it's a little forgiving. If I go a little too far in, no big deal. And I'm moving mostly the paper. My scissors are pretty much staying steady. I'm just focusing on slowly closing the scissors. And my left hand is what's maneuvering the paper to get the in and out. Okay. And this is pretty simple. If you didn't like that, you could always just cut it out on a circle punch or something. If you didn't want to fussy cut it. And you would keep going. And then if like it gets too much, I just snip that off and keep going. Because it's a lot easier. The smaller the piece of cardstock, the easier it is to fussy cut. If I were to stamp this on a huge piece of paper, piece of cardstock, and start fussy cutting, it's challenging. I mean, you could do it. It's just you're making more work for yourself. So my scissors are pretty much staying straight, and my hand is what's making the paper move. It's kind of like sewing. I don't sew, but I think that's the same thing, right? Like your machine is sturdy and you're maneuvering the fabric. I don't sew. My mom does, and I think that's what she does. What I've seen her do. But we're going to do a little magic. I did them ahead of time. Ta-da! Super easy. Now let's just put it all together. The card that I did for my sample, I didn't adhere this down with Stampin' Dimensionals, and I think I really want to. So we're going to do that. And we also use dimensionals on our holly. Oops, I think I need mini ones for that. Mini ones you may need for your holly here because it is definitely thinner. I make it look so easy. You just have to be patient and practice. Who was it? I think Samantha on my blog, on my Facebook said you got to practice, and it's true. The more you do it, the more you get better. You need super sharp scissors. If you have dull scissors, you're going to be making it hard for yourself. And the paper snips, I love them because they're small. If you have these ginormous scissors and you're trying to get into like small spots, it's just going to be hard. So small scissors, sharp scissors, and practice. It's like a die or punch. It's always perfect. I don't know about that. I don't mind it though, so I just kind of take my time. You can't fussy cut right now. Oh, you can sew. That's true. Am I right, Michelle? I think it has to be, right? Like you keep your machine and then you move the fabric in and out. I don't sew. Like at all. I can only handle one hobby. Okay, so my piece is going to go like front and center. Oops. The on earth. It's so funny. Don't forget your on earth. You could just have it say peace, but peace on earth is more the Christmas phrase, I feel like. Snips are the best. They are. You need them. They're super sharp. They'll get the job done. On earth. And then this time, whereas before I always had my holly kind of framing the piece, I decided I wanted it kind of facing out instead. So, like that, maybe. How's that look? You sewed for years and that's exactly what you do. Okay, I'm glad. I did some home ec, like sewing when, you know, I'm not going to say how many years ago, but a few years ago. And I don't remember any of it, honestly. I remember we sewed a pillow. That was the extent of it. Okay, and there we go. So this is definitely for someone that wants a little bit more of a challenge. Wants a few extra details. I could have added ribbon, honestly, but I tend to keep things pretty on the simpler side, and I really just liked how it looks. So no ribbon tonight, no embellishments. Well, I guess, I mean, in a way, these are kind of like your embellishments, right? So let me bring back the other ones. I'll show you the ones I stamped. Well, we'll show that one because the other on earth is a little crooked. Okay, so there's our 3 cards for like a beginner, intermediate, and then someone, an avid. And really, you know, this is a great set. It's a great stamp. It's a great bundle. It has a lot of potential. I love that it's big, chunky words that can be layered, and you can do so much. There's 3 dies, and you can mix and match them in so many different ways. Tons of possibility. So I can't wait to see what you make. Make sure you grab this bundle and email me pictures. I love getting pictures of your creations and your projects. It's really inspiring to me and I always love it. So keep in mind again that I'm running the embossing folder promotion right now. Pick out your free one when you order the new die cutting machine and then let me know which one you'd like. And if you've been watching and have yet to leave a comment and would like to win one of these cards, quickly drop a message or a comment below. And as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to pick a name. Just making sure that you let me know which card you want. Okay? Because I know everybody has different likes and whatever. So just tell me which one you want of the 3. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's always a pleasure. I always look forward to spending this time with you. And I will see you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.